girl. Here's the selfie of us and a link to that social media page. I think your story can go witness viral.
Oh, witness viral. That must be a popular enough phrase within Jehovah's Witnesses that people are going to understand this.
Welcome.
Hey everyone, my name is Jake. I'm a former Jehovah's Witness, current live stream host and assembly/convention analyzer. Every Sunday I like to check in with my old cult Jehovah's Witnesses and see what they're up to. And what they're up to these days is their annual summer convention series. I got all 3 days of it sent to me, a leaked copy. A lot of joining cities, all of their Kingdom Halls of Jehovah's Witnesses would rent out a stadium in kind of a localized area, and it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday program full of talks that are given based on outlines provided by Watchtower. All of the talks that we'll see little snippets of are not just these individual members of Jehovah's Witnesses speaking of their own volition, they're all directed by Watchtower pre-approved outlines. And most important for our interest here today, we're going to be looking at their propaganda videos that they make specially for the convention.
These women are barely wearing anything.
And that's a big part of the appeal, is that, you don't have a lot of entertainment options as a Jehovah's Witness. So every year you kind of get some new shows to watch. You get to meet some new characters that you'll get to rewatch over and over again on jw.org.
Go away, Satan.
Stop. There's only one truth, and it comes from Jehovah.
The way that the programs start, like you go into this convention center, you are assisted in finding your seat. We saw some attendant training last week. The attendants, JW attendants, very important job. They'll show you to your seat, make sure you get settled in, and then kind of like going to the theater, music is going to start to play, and that signifies
places everybody 10 minutes and the program's going to start.
So everybody has to find their seats, but really you're supposed to be AIS.
Ass in seat.
10 minutes before, so that you can sit and watch on the Jumbotron this pre-recorded propaganda video play with music custom made for the convention. It's part of the spiritual program.
Welcome to the opening session of this Pure Worship Regional Convention of Jehovah's Witnesses. Now,
Join in the Kingdom Song.
that was shipped.
It is interesting how when you take away the sweeping Dragon Quest music, as somebody put it in chat, and replace it with something else, it changes the vibes. So this is just emphasizing that Jehovah's Witnesses have this very big corporate structure with all of these branch facility offices that they're able to use to generate their propaganda. So this gentleman here is doing the sign language recordings. They have a lot of materials for deaf people, and it's very expressive. I mean, he's really getting into it, lifting shit, kind of rapping, killing someone with a spear. And here's the real main attraction, is the governing body members of Jehovah's Witnesses. Yeah, look at all these guys. We're clapping so hard. Family worship. This is what you're supposed to do if you're a family within Jehovah's Witnesses. You're supposed to sit around and talk about JW stuff together and smile and nod, look over the publications and homoerotic paintings of Jesus, and just stare at your daughter creepily. And then there's this guy in the middle. We don't really know what's going on with him. He's at the memorial where Jehovah's Witnesses pass but do not partake of the wine and the bread, unless they're going to heaven. It's a long story. We don't have time to get into it. But maybe this guy thinks, man, I should be drinking that wine. I think I am one of the 144,000 folks about to go to heaven. Oh no. Family worship at my parents' house usually devolved into my stepfather screaming at us about how we're not listening to him enough. That sounds good and healthy. This guy doesn't feel appreciated, I think. Okay, this is an important part. If you're a gentleman, if you're a fella within the organization, an important part of your week to week is doing shit for the congregation. If you run a microphone, adjust the stage microphone, work on the sound equipment that adjust the various volumes of various microphones, I mean, that's all part of your week to week. If you're a baptized brother in good standing, generally speaking, women are not supposed to be doing this. And so there's some kind of story that's unfolding here that probably syncs up to the lovely music that we're not listening to, where this guy's he's encouraging this young fella about holding the microphones. Now, this is not how the microphones worked at my congregation. It was not a big microphone on a pole. It was just one microphone, and it was like, take one down, pass it around. It was 99 bottles style. Now the love bombing begins. Now you can tell that this girl is not a Jehovah's Witness because she has kind of a funky braid. Kind of an interesting hairstyle it might draw attention to herself. That's not considered modest. But now Jehovah's Witnesses know that they're not allowed to have that kind of hairstyle because they've just showed it on the bad example, on a pre-Jehovah's Witness. I mean, that's kind of your way in. Like, you go to a meeting, you're love bombed, everybody says,
"Oh my God, it's so amazing to have you here. This is so wonderful. This is the most loving place on earth."
And then after a little while, you start giving comments because there's audience participation. It's a little embarrassing, but maybe that embarrassment bonds you to the group a little bit. You feel like you're progressing and accomplishing something. And that's kind of the slow on-ramp into cultdom.
Now, how will those episodes tie in with our convention theme? Listen as Brother Samuel Hurd of the governing body answers that question in the following video.
We're about to hear Sam Hurd of the governing body, I do declare. And when we check in with Sam Hurd, we like to remember his most famous thing he ever said. Because sometimes, yes, he goes by Samuel, Sam Hurd, but he also goes by another name.
Mommy, when I get out, call me Sammy.
And let's get a side-by-side. He's looking very wizened with his beard. Here's mustachioed Sammy.
Mommy.
And then here is a fully bearded Samuel. I think we were dealing with Sammy before. I wonder if he still wants to be called Sammy now that he's kind of like Gandalf the White.
This pivotal period is depicted in episodes 2 and 3.
Oh my God. So we're going to see, last year they released part 1 of like a 8 to 16 part insane movie saga that they're making about Jesus. Christ, ever heard of him? Well, they made a movie about this fella, and obviously it's the most accurate biblically. It's really the only good movie about Jesus that anyone's ever made, because The Truth, Jehovah's Witnesses, they're making the movie. And so he's going to drop in some little teasers about the upcoming Jesus film that we're going to watch. And he said the word pivotal earlier. And that reminded me that I forgot to tell you something pivotal about this stream. And it's that I took an edible before we started. And it's very possible that it's kicking in right about now.
What Jesus said and did during the first few months of his ministry teaches us what pure worship is.
God damn it. Now you listen to me.
Jehovah is looking for you. Yes, he's eager to train each one of us, not only to start walking on the path.
Oh, he's itching. He's waiting on the sidelines, rubbing his greedy mitts together like, oh, I can't wait to help him out. But they just have to be a Jehovah's Witness.
What can we learn from the role that John the Baptist played?
John the Baptist, genuine stud in this movie, by the way. They've showed some clips, and he's got big muscles. The gun show has arrived in town, and he is selling 2 tickets. Not a great business plan. And some people in chat are pointing out that a Jehovah's Witness would be judged very negatively if they waited until the age of 30 to be baptized. And in my experience, anybody who brought up this point, like,
Hey, well, Jesus waited until he was 30.
The elders would respond,
Well, you're not Jesus.
and that was also their comeback for beards, but obviously, as we can see from Sam Hurd's face, they caved on beards.
What can we learn from Jesus' responses to the devil's
Why is he upset?
temptations?
Calm down. Everyone's here to
There's
see
no
you,
greater
Sam.
privilege in the
Sammy.
universe
Whoa.
than to worship the only true God, Jehovah.
I mean, they say that, but that's kind of cheating, because it's not like Jehovah's Witnesses or most human beings really get a chance to leave the planet. They could just settle with that, like, it's the greatest privilege on the planet. But they're like, no, in the universe. And it's like, are we sure about that?
May this convention move all of us to worship Jehovah acceptably and to stick
Good
to
question.
pure worship forever.
Stick to it. Sticky. That was necessary. They couldn't have just had this guy. They couldn't have had the sheriff of Alabama say these exact same words. They had to bring out Sammy himself in a chair with a trippy green screen background.
Are you ready to see episode 2 of the Good News According to Jesus?
Please clap. Continue to clap for Jesus.
Part 1 begins now. It is entitled,
Part 1 is entitled
my
Part
son.
2. This is episode 2, Part 1. It's getting confusing. This is like when you get into old Star Wars Legends books and it's like, New Jedi Order Part 1, Eclipse Part 3, Trials.
In the 15th
You guys need to
year
understand,
of the reign of Tiberius Caesar,
when we were witnesses, this was the most exciting thing that
when
happened all year.
Pontius Philip, his brother, was district ruler of the country of Itarea and Trachonitis.
Oh, good. So they're just... Alright, so my criticism of the first one was that it really felt like somebody reading the New World Translation of the Bible over slightly above average B-roll that they filmed. And they did not take my notes under advisement, it would seem. So that's still just what's happening, is they're reading the most boring parts of the Bible about who begat whom, and just the various names of kings that you'll never remember.
In order to bear witness about the light,
Whoa.
so that people of all sorts
Whoa.
might
People walking in
believe
water.
through him. He was not that light.
Is he hearing the scriptures that we're hearing? Is that why he's getting excited? Because without this, it's just a guy flashing back to times when he baptized people and their feet and getting all excited. Here we are, Old Baptism River, where John the Baptizer was waiting to do his favorite thing in the world. You know it. Dunk some folks. Hold them underwater, make sure their feet don't pop up. That's an important part of this, by the way. If you're a Jehovah's Witness, they're very focused on the fact that Jesus was fully immersed in water, so they really talk shit about churches that just do a little sprinkle. They're like, nope, that's not what it says in the Bible. But they're so focused on it that, like, if your feet pop up a little bit, they'll be like, no, we gotta redo it. Your whole body wasn't underwater at once. Underwater? Underwater. Underwear? Who said that?
For the kingdom of the heavens has drawn near.
Oh, right. So everyone's Australian in this, too. They filmed it in Australia and used the local JW Union of Australian Actors, their guild. So everybody has thick Australian accents, and I can't really do one of those. I'll work on it.
So he went into all the country around the Jordan, preaching baptism.
This is just so lazy. Like, they could have written a fun scene, some dialogue, John talking to some people, but they don't want to do that because, like, aesthetically, they like to present themselves as, we do not add anything to the Bible. So we're not even going to add some fictionalized scene that takes place within the world of the Bible. Nope, this is too sacred. So we're just going to have a narrator read the text of the New World Translation specifically, because it's the best, because it adds the name Jehovah to the Bible, including lots of times in the New Testament where it has no business being, according to false religions. And so, yeah, we don't get any characterization that's not already in the Bible, which almost makes you wonder why you'd bother doing it. If you're not actually going to dramatize the events of the Bible, then why spend all this money? Well into the evening, he's dunking men underwater.
And they were baptized by him in the Jordan River.
He's baptized a couple ladies. Look at this right now. Okay, some scary music is playing. The Pharisees are coming by. These are the bad guys. The Pharisees, of course, started inventing all sorts of strict moralistic rules that maybe attain to the letter of the law, but not the principle of the law, like making people avoid blood transfusions, because the Bible said something about eating blood with your mouth one time. And veins are the same as mouths, and that technology definitely, if it would have existed, would have been banned by God.
He said to them, "You offspring of vipers!"
Vipers! A dingo ate my baptism! Sorry. I apologize.
Do not presume to say to yourselves,
Presume.
We have Abraham as our father. For I say to you, that God is able to raise up children for Abraham from these stones.
This guy walked up, said absolutely nothing the entire time, and is now walking away without speaking. At no point did the Pharisee do anything villainous, say anything threatening. This is not great storytelling, in my opinion. We don't have any reason to hate the Pharisees. Even though John the Baptist has been in the water all day, his clothes are not wet.
The lace of whose sandals I'm not worthy to untie.
He literally walked out of the water to get up here, and he's not wet at all.
And with fire. His winnowing shovel is in his hand.
I'm keeping a close eye on the wetness of this movie, and I'm not going to let him off the hook. Did Watchtower put him on one of those crazy diets that they put on, like for Henry Cavill or Chris Evans or those guys, when they have to just totally beef up and look like gods in the span of 6 months while they're prepping for a movie? Like, do they have to drink a weird gelatin?
And it's been 5 months of broccoli, chicken breast, and
it was all hard calories. It was a lot of chicken breast.
Boiled chicken breast every 2 hours, but that's how you get that body.
Is it like that? And now he is sadly and bittersweetly baptizing people. I'll be real with you, minus the guns, minus the insanely jacked physique and chest hair. I mean, literally, Jesus Christ, but this has been 20 minutes of a guy just dunking people underwater over and over again, stopping briefly to give a mean monologue to the Pharisees, even though, as far as we're concerned, as viewers of the film, never did nothing wrong to nobody. The Pharisees. Just polishing his wood, that's all. And I believe this is Jesus Christ, our Lord, who, if you haven't seen him and you thought John the Baptist was a stud muffin, this guy is like an entire stud breakfast buffet. And he has slightly more of a tan than the other very white disciples and apostles and Bible characters.
Then Jesus came from Galilee to the
For no reason, they didn't even bother to craft a kind of narrative where Jesus hears word of John the Baptist and is like, I think I'll go see that cool, not gay guy who spends his entire life holding men, cradling them gently in his enormous arms and dunking them underwater and then giving them a little kiss on the forehead. Ryan Cultastic! Ryan, I want to have you on the call-in show.
I'm the one who needs to be baptized by you.
Not to put you on the spot.
Are you coming to me?
I'm going to have to dig through the archives. Me and Ryan and I think XJW Caleb reacted to a JW drama like 2 years ago. And I never released the stream highlights, but it was a funny one. We're not going to get like credits on the JW movies because, like everything, the governing body just takes credit for the whole production. And I wish we knew who was in charge of filming on this particular day, lovingly filming these shirtless guys. And why wasn't it me? I was available.
Jesus immediately came up from the water.
Jesus immediately came. They touched each other's wet bodies and looked to the heavens where a dainty little bird flew down. Jesus has never been so horny in his life. He just is about to bust, thinking of his daddy and how special he was. I don't know if this is traditional to other Christian understandings of the Bible, but I actually always kind of thought this was cool in terms of like a lore thing. But Jehovah's Witnesses teach that Jesus was born as a normal man and had no idea that he was literally the Son of God until he got baptized. And when he got baptized, it's like all of his pre-earth memories unlock in his brain. like a Jason Bourne flashback. This is not a drill soldier, but instead of that, it's like God creating the heavens and the earth. And so Jesus remembers all that stuff, and it's like so intense and overwhelming. He's like, man, I'm gonna have to wander in the wilderness and think about this crazy info dump that I just unlocked. The greatest download of all time.
You want to get a little maybe idea about the capacity of the human brain. Think about the tremendous download that Jesus received at his baptism. Eons of time, the memory of that all downloaded the human brain.
And look,
the heavens were open.
It's not enough to just have the guys looking, is it? You have to have this monotonous Australian man narrating the New World Translation over it. I mean, that just totally robs the moment of anything. Even if I was a Jehovah's Witness, I'm thinking, this sucks.
And he saw God's Spirit descending.
God couldn't even show up. Isn't this like God sending like his driver or something?
Beloved, whom I have approved.
Hello, it's me, Jehovah. Daddy, Poppy. Yeah, also when he was 12 in the temple, didn't he say he was in his father's house?
And immediately.
So that doesn't mean he doesn't. Yeah, well, that's just foreshadowing, because it's his heavenly father. He understands that. What he doesn't know is that Jesus was squirted out of Jehovah's very loins.
He was about 30 years old. Being the son, as the opinion was,
Vegemite.
of Joseph,
Vegemite.
son of Heli.
Stop it! Why did they do this? I think they had to do it because they realized at the end of the day, without all the narration, they do not have a movie. Without the narration, they've got like a 9-minute short film. They've got a Zack Snyder trailer. And so they're just like, well, we'll just kind of stitch it together with reading the Bible over these slow motion, kind of impressionistic visions of stuff from the Bible.
That son of Simeon.
That is just a fucking ripoff. That's just a total fucking ripoff of in The Last Jedi when Rey reaches out with the Force. And we are gonna compare and contrast, actually. Because they just lifted that, like right down to the little budding flower. Jesus is reaching out with the Force right now, obviously, and touching the rock.
Son of Esli.
And learning about all of his dads.
Son of Maath.
And look how this,
son of Mattathias.
What it cuts to here.
Son of Simeon.
Shut up.
That feeds new life.
Look at that shit. They just stole from Star Wars.
Son of Adai. Son of Kosam. Son of El-Nadam.
Christina brought up a good point, which is that nobody actually reads that part of the Bible. They just skip over it. And so it is sort of like, no, you are going to listen to this part of the Bible. Because it's going to be a solid 15 minutes of the runtime. He's still doing this. I can't believe it. I can't believe they're doing it. They have to commit now. They have to commit.
Son of Jonam.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
Son of me.
This is genuinely like cool footage. And they've ruined it. I mean, the way they should have done it is like Man of Steel, where they have Jehovah like talking over it like Jor-El, like,
he will be a beacon for mankind to strive toward.
Like kind of the weird muffled way it is in that movie. As he's suiting up, putting on his iconic Jesus cape. I cannot fucking believe that it's still going on. I mean, this is embarrassing. It's really embarrassing that this is what they did with their money. Oh my god, he's gonna eat rocks. Eat rocks, old man! Yeah, like I definitely just always imagined him in a forest making a little fire when the devil comes after him. Stay tuned for Not a Cult for creepy forest scenes in which the devil comes after people.
The tempter approached.
Jesus had a peanut allergy.
You are son of God.
He starts seeing Satan's skeleton because he hasn't figured out his X-ray vision yet.
Tiny stones to become loaves of bread.
tell him to become lows, a brev. God damn it.
It is written. Man must live not on bread alone, but on every word that comes from Jehovah's mouth.
Satan just looks like a pasty Gen Z edgelord who got held back a year in high school. Whoa, he's seeing Satan visions. Now we're doing something. Now this is pod racing.
Then the devil took him along into the holy city, and he stationed him on the battlement of the temple.
This is where Jesus needed to do, like, some Doctor Strange stuff. Oh, okay, you think you can pull me into your vision? I'm gonna put you in the mirror dimension. Oh, shit. Scarlet Witch crawled through the mirrors. Now, well, we're gonna break the mirrors and go into the flippity-florp dimension. Like, they could have really made something cool.
Dead to him.
Why didn't they just make a big-budget Doctor Strange film to have Jesus fight Satan? This is what I'm saying. This is the lamest test that Satan could possibly give.
Hey, I know what's gonna get you. You'll never see this one coming. Hey, it's me, Satan. Hello. Solve my riddles 3, and I'll give you Satan magic.
And Jesus is like, no, you're the bad guy. I'm not gonna listen to you. And Satan's like, oh, my one weakness. But that's not what the Falling Tower said. This account in the Bible never made sense to me. Why would Satan expect Jesus as a superior creature to worship him? And if you believe in the Trinity, why would Satan expect God to worship him? Yeah, it's like, because he was that hungry, I guess.
And they will carry you on their hands, so that you may not.
Yeah, he looks like a vagrant in the Elder Scrolls.
Again, it is written.
Again, it is written.
You must not put Jehovah your God.
My favourite book says the following. The Sacred Jedi Texts. Whoa, it's King Jesus. That's the song. This kind of is like in the Justice League when Cyborg like sees all the kingdoms of heaven in cyberspace or whatever the fuck was happening there.
Instant of time.
The new light is that Satan is clean shaven.
Then the devil said to him,
that actually did look like AI. Yeah, unfortunately, this looks like something that Donald Trump would post to Truth Social to say, like, this is what Compton is going to look like in 5 years of my presidency, and it's going to be this. But I don't think it is AI. They really go out of their way to show all of their human laborers. I don't know. I would love to get a read on this from any Bethelites who are physically and mentally out. First of all, I would love to hear from any Bethelites. It's been a while since we've had a, like, Bethel, or since I've had a Bethel contact anyway. But I would be kind of interested to know what the read on AI is at Bethel, because while I'm certain that most witnesses probably just view it as a tool and have the same kinds of suspicions that, you know, the rest of us have about AI, because this is a superstitious conspiratorial group, I wonder if there are those who have apprehensions about it because they worry that it's satanic in some way. Like, oh, we can't control this, so then satanic images really might get into our magazines. I don't know. I can see how they would be superstitious about it, or at least a little stitious.
For it is
yes,
written,
exactly.
It is Jehovah your God you must worship, and it is to him alone you must render sacred.
You must worship Jehovah your God. Your sad devotion to that ancient religion has not conjured you the stolen loaves of bread from rocks from earlier. Satan is kind of like the Sephiroth of this story, you know? Like, he's the dark emo crush. He's the Kylo Ren. The bad boy. But then you've got...
And look.
Chad himself. And these really do look like AI, actually. What the fuck? Does that kind of look like me in a weird way? Like if I had white hair? But this doesn't look like a person, right? I can fix him. Alan Tudyk. It kind of looked like to be continued. Wow, yeah, they really left us on the edge of our fucking seat there. Oh, yeah, okay, so I think we're done with the Friday AM Part 1, actually, so we can move right on to Part Deuce. Is this the same Krusty Stephen Let video? I hope so, because I don't remember what I said about it before, but I remember it being amazing.
Making yourself available for Bethel service is like knocking on a door that leads to many other privileges of service. Of course, to serve at Bethel requires a self-sacrificing spirit and a willingness to serve wherever there is a need in harmony with the attitude displayed by the prophet Isaiah at Isaiah 6:8. Then I heard the voice of Jehovah saying, "Whom shall I send? And who will go for us?"
Whomst?
And I said, "Here."
Oh yeah, they love this. Here I am, send me. When you hear that, that's you saying that. Here I am, Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of Pennsylvania, send me to do free labor for you.
Numerous messianic prophecies were fulfilled in Jesus. The fulfillment of multiple prophecies reveals who the promised Messiah is.
And your wife Elizabeth will bear you a son, and you are to name him John. Holy Spirit.
Oh boy, so this is just like a recap previously on the New Testament, I guess is what we're doing. This, if I'm going to try and provide some kind of substantial commentary to this for a change, an hour and 19 minutes in, like this is not a good argument in favor of the Bible's veracity.
Just in case people don't know, I'm an atheist, okay? That's a really cool and interesting thing about me.
I just think this is important. When I was a witness and was just eating this stuff up, and believed that the Bible was the true inspired word of God, the fact that there were prophecies in the Bible and that like Matthew just lays out, and this thing that happened fulfilled this Bible prophecy, that did kind of scratch this kind of nerdy itch in my brain, you know, like it feels like, yes, this makes logical sense in the same way that Star Wars, quite frankly, likes to fill in plot holes after the fact. It's called retconning, right? So why did the Death Star have an obvious weakness where if one person shot it, the entire space station would explode? Well, it's because 40 years later they figured out that a scientist who worked for the Empire was a turncoat, and he installed a weakness on purpose, you see, so it all makes sense. But it doesn't. It was somebody after the fact making it make sense, and that's what's going on with the Bible. But this is why witnesses are like, oh, you have to just let the Bible interpret itself. You just have to let the Bible tell you what it means. But you can't do that because, of course, the Bible is going to reaffirm that it's true. Yes, because Galen or so. That was what I was really trying to get to. Great point. Gutsick Gibbon always likes to point out that if you could just interpret the Bible as plainly written, there wouldn't be so many interpretations of the Bible. Yeah, exactly. The whole reason why religion exists, why the Jehovah's Witnesses exist, is they're like, no, you need us to explain to you what the Bible means. And Russell, the founder of Jehovah's Witnesses, or the Bible Students, which later became Jehovah's Witnesses, he said that you'd be better off reading his studies in the scriptures than just reading the Bible by yourself. What he was writing was kind of the Bible plus. It was kind of the Bible Deluxe plus Knuckles, is what Charles Taze Russell did with Study in the Scriptures, because it gives you the context of the Bible and tells you what everything means. It's like having one of those old player's guides to a video game.
Thousands of years before Jesus' birth, messianic prophecy, beginning with Genesis 3:15,
see what they're going to do?
His role as the Messiah, the coming offspring who would accomplish Jehovah's purpose.
Coming offspring?
The Bible books of Matthew and Luke provide a genealogy that allows us to trace Jesus' lineage.
This is the weird place you're in when you believe that the Bible is literal. Is like, no, yeah, there were really two angels with a spinning sword between them, blocking off the Garden of Eden. And no, swords hadn't been invented yet on Earth because they had just gotten cast out of a peaceful paradise, but in heaven they did have swords. Now this guy looks like a Jehovah's Witness, cleanly shaven, modest, a suit that's about 2 sizes too big.
Now in the following video, note how Jehovah's Witnesses, both young and old, have rendered pure worship to
both
Jehovah,
young and old,
no matter what form of government they live under.
Whoa, no matter what form of government they live under. That's pretty fascinating, because Jehovah's Witnesses are told, of course, they must be politically neutral So they're not allowed to vote, go to war. If they had to carry some kind of party card, they're not allowed to do that unless Watchtower gives them an excuse to do it. But it doesn't matter what kind of government you live under. You're supposed to view it as temporary because the only acceptable form of government is God's government. But this is a very American-centric religion, so I have a feeling this is going to be somewhat American-focused, but I do believe we caught a little glimpse of the Nazis in this footage that he's playing. So, boy, these guys are everywhere these days. Not even on Sunday service can you avoid the Nazis.
True Christians have repeatedly demonstrated their determination.
True Christians have repeatedly demonstrated that they can stand on the mountaintop and look at CGI, AI animated bullshit.
Despite intense pressure to join the war efforts, many individuals refuse to perform military service, including
military service. No, thank you, Governor.
Among them was Herbert Sr.
Herbert Sr. is a
there was no
handsome fella.
Principle between unloading shells from a
He's
ship and putting
fine-looking young chap, this Herbert
no
Sr.
shells into a gun to be fired. It was all part of the same process.
God's stone witnesses,
Brother Sr.
according to Charles Taze Russell, the pyramids
were arrested, along with other conscientious objectors.
Oi,
Handed
brothers.
to the army and imprisoned.
You've been arrested, you
Filthy
have.
Conditions at Richmond Castle, England.
My teacher then noted that I was not saluting, and so she shouted, "Stop!"
Sorry, that's a little quiet.
Children stopped saying the pledge, and she says, "When I
yes.
salute, I mean everybody salute." I knew that
I was told this story at a young age.
And I was wanting to explain the reason why I couldn't salute the flag, but she was just so angry. In fact, she saw my hand by my side, and so she took it to put it over my heart, and I resisted her, and that just...
Pay respect to America!
That was in the late spring, and it was
Whoa,
that
she
summer
got a bloody
that I
nose.
was baptized.
But maybe that's just because she has psychic powers or is about to time travel, according to all movies. I remember being told about this as a young Jehovah's Witness kid and having to stand up to my teachers, and I got a similar mad teacher once. It was after 9/11. A lot of teachers were very patriotic. I had this teacher who was a veteran, and he was like, and if anybody here has a problem saying the Pledge of Allegiance, I'll give you a reason to do. Like, he was really adamant that he was gonna fuck you up if you didn't put your hand over your heart and say the Pledge of Allegiance. And so, like, I had to go up after class and be like, "No, Mr. something," not his name, couldn't remember it. But that's just kind of a socially unfortunate situation to be in as a kid, I think. And these are always spun as kids standing up for their faith. But it's also like, why are you putting kids in this position in the first place, where they have to be ostracized because of this arbitrary tradition you're putting on? And I do think that the Pledge of Allegiance is culty and weird, don't get me wrong. But I also think, like, to keep the peace, is it such a big deal? I don't really know.
We refused to compromise and fled to the refugee camp in Mozambique. In 1975, we had to leave the camp.
They are spinning this history, people in Malawi having to stand up for their faith, and let's just, for context, get the real history of what happened here. This is Malawi, Mexico, Oath of Allegiance. This is detailed in large part in Raymond Franz's tell-all biography, Crisis of Conscience. Raymond Franz was a governing body member, left and wrote a tell-all book about it because he realized that there was no Holy Spirit guiding this group and that it was all just men and politics and petty differences. And one of the things that he exposed in this book was the disparity in how witnesses were treated by the branch in Mexico and Malawi. Okay, so many faithful Jehovah's Witnesses have died obeying the Watchtower stance on neutrality. This article shows the tragedy that occurred when Malawian witnesses were hypocritically forced to uphold a higher standard than was expected of those in Mexico or by the governing body themselves. Okay, unnoticeable unless you point it out. All right. Religion is the most culpable when it Its rules lead to unnecessary deaths of its followers. Graphic representation of this in Watchtower history is the torture and murder of Jehovah's Witnesses in Malawi between 1964 and 1994. That's what we're seeing in the video on the convention here. Most disturbing is that Watchtower leaders enforced a stance in Malawi that was misguided and applied inconsistently in other countries. When reading Crisis of Conscience by Raymond Franz, Chapter 6, titled Double Standards, disturbed me more than any other. Franz explained how a Watchtower principle that led to the torture and death of thousands of witnesses in Malawi was excused for witnesses in Mexico. Malawian witnesses suffered unspeakable atrocities because Watchtower leaders forbade them holding a political card, yet they allowed witnesses in Mexico to bribe officials for a cartilla card in order to escape military service. So that is the gist of it. If you want to go down this rabbit hole, it is worth going down, but that's the larger point, is that Jehovah's Witnesses, on one hand, in Mexico, were told by the Watchtower, go ahead and just bribe officials to get your cartilla so you don't have to actually pledge your loyalty or whatever. Totally fine. But in Malawi, they were told the exact opposite, and they were told, and they had to go to prison. And so this double standard, this happens in Russia as well. Don't get me wrong, it's an authoritarian government, and many religions there are banned. LGBTQ people are banned. Jehovah's Witnesses just so happen to be often put in a position where they might be arrested in ways that people of other religious faiths aren't, because they are expected to preach. And for a long time, I think they were in more danger than they needed to be, because like the Zoom meeting thing that happened during COVID, why couldn't they have just done that in Russia? Like, why couldn't they have just gone more incognito and not forced people to meet in person in a way that would put them in danger of being arrested? So there's a double standard, and results in some Jehovah's Witnesses being arrested, rotting in prison, maybe dying or being killed, and then they use that to their advantage in their propaganda videos. People's suffering and torture and imprisonment, they use that to say, look how we're being persecuted. And that's the entire Christian religious ethos, is that they're being persecuted. It's the war on Christmas. If anybody ever says happy holidays, it's the same kind of mentality. So anyway, that is what they're now
when we came back,
lying about here.
We faced the neutrality issue again. When we started to build a house, the party members came. They wanted us to buy political party cards. If we bought them, the family could have a home, our children would be allowed to go to school, we could fund the land, we wouldn't be arrested and experience the horrible condition of the prison camp.
Okay, well, so that on one hand, but on the other hand, let's look at JW Facts. In Mexico, at the same exact time, in the 60s, the same exact time that this is happening in Malawi, right? At the same time that witnesses were forbidden to hold a card in Malawi, a comparable situation arose in Mexico, with the governing body ruling in the opposite direction for Mexican brothers. In Mexico, military service was compulsory for young men. On completion of service, young men would receive a cartilla card, which, similar to the card in Malawi, was required for transactions such as obtaining a passport and driver's license. Young witness brothers experienced persecution and imprisonment for refusing their obligation to attend military service. In order to relieve the suffering, the governing body ruled that it was acceptable for Mexican brothers to bribe officials to obtain a government cartilla that exempted them from military service. This is discussed in the following letter to Mexico Branch Committee dated June 2nd, 1960. And I believe in Crisis of Conscience, Raymond Franz has like the scans of these letters and everything. Yeah, let's see. If the consciences of certain brothers allow them to enter into such an arrangement for their continued freedom, we have no objection, right? So they said that's totally fine. But in Malawi, they did not allow this same thing, saying they have to be no part of the world. And that's just too bad. Jehovah's Witnesses believe that joining a political party is wrong for them, and that's it. No ifs, ands, or buts, except when it comes to Mexico. So that's the really gross double standard, and it's the fact that they hide things like this that leads members to eventually wake up, as we say in the X community, wake up, Ethan. When you realize that the religion is not special, it's not divine, angels are not directing you. Jesus Christ in his red Superman cape is not there because they're hiding all of these things that reveal the religion to be extremely human and often amoral. They lie about this stuff and bury it. They lie by omission. And because of that, it feels like a huge betrayal when you find this kind of stuff out as a witness. Mormons experience this same issue. Scientologists certainly do. Scientology consistently tried to stop biographies about L. Ron Hubbard from coming out because they didn't want Scientologists to know the real truth about that guy's life. Just something to keep in mind when it comes to publishing books about Jehovah's Witnesses, first of all, but also this is how you know it's a cult. It's why the White House only wants propagandists in the press room, because they want to present a certain image, and they want to their members who trust this one source of information, they want everything that channels through that source of information to reaffirm that the cult has the truth and is right, and that the leader is doing all these amazing, wonderful things. And so any criticism that punctures that bubble is a problem for them. So they will gladly use this kind of torture porn for their own selfish purposes.
Compromising my
But
integrity was not
as soon as somebody leaves, that's too bad. Why do you think they weren't consistent? Was it just applying their beliefs inconsistently, or was there some other reason? Yeah, we would have to go and read it, but I'm pretty sure that part of it was just that Mexico was more important to the organization. Like, they kind of needed more freedom there strategically for the worldwide work, and whereas Malawi mattered less to them in that way. And frankly, maybe it was just not thinking things through. Franz wrote, because it watched our own properties in Mexico. Yeah, there was some kind of cynical reason for it, but do your own research within reason. And so now we move on to Friday afternoon.
Music video reminds us to take delight in...
Whoa, there's an afternoon music video? Is this a first? He's really having to shout over the crowd, too.
The beauty of creation, in our preaching work, and in God's written word. Please watch and listen quietly to
Listen up, you little shits. Listen quietly. Oh, okay. There we go. Not a great deal of substance so far. Not a great deal of substance. What are we doing here, folks? Okay, just people looking at how beautiful the earth is. Can you believe God made all this? Like a painter. The divine potter crafting the earth out of celestial clay.
Jehovah God is the potter, the great potter, in fact, and we are the clay. Now,
you have chosen Jehovah to be your potter. Use the example of a potter molding clay.
Jehovah, the great potter, to mold us. Keep molding us.
Oh no. There's now a cartoon. Now it does feel like a Punch-Out training sequence. Whoa, there's a fucking anime. Alright. All the work that goes into translating the Bible. Okay, let's see what's going on with our friend here. No. Okay. I mean, this is just publishing books. Let's get a taste of the music. Publishing books is beautiful. Like, this is ridiculous. Mass production of a royalty-free product to the sobbing masses. This is actually very depressing. But here they're like, oh, wait, this actually sounds scary. Oh, I guess it's nice. Okay, but they're just crying. Oh, they're weeping. Oh my God, I've never seen a Bible this beautiful before. Oh, and we can manipulate people in need of a community by producing literature in their language. Wait a minute. Imitate Jesus' responses to the tempter. Live on Jehovah's word. I think the tempter is Satan. Tempter, I hardly know her. Oh, now we're talking. Folks, it took us 2 hours, but we're getting to our sweet, sweet dramatizations.
Thank you for taking on some of the congregation responsibilities. Yeah, we're praying for that too. Okay. Hey, thanks, John. All right, bye. Bye. Hey, babe. It's about time for your meds.
My favorite one.
Hey, buddy. So what's your homework for today?
Math.
All right, bye. You need some help?
No, I think I'm okay.
So, his wife is sick. Okay, so I saw some snippets, I think on our last stream. I just hit puberty just now. My voice cracked. I don't think anyone noticed.
On our last stream,
we watched some snippets from this. We didn't have all the context, and the wife is wearing this head covering, and I wasn't sure what that was, because there is some circumstances within Jehovah's Witnesses where women are expected to wear head coverings, but that is apparently not the case. This is like she has cancer and has lost her hair to chemotherapy. Okay, and so he's very sad, living a very sad, put upon life, and yet nonetheless living in quite a nice house. I mean, Willy Wonka? Walter Wonka? Whoa, social media post. What was I supposed to find upsetting about this? That was actually a little too subtle for me. Satan's world has corroded my conscience, and I don't know what I was supposed to be offended by.
These women are barely wearing anything.
It was kind of incoherent, though, because we didn't even see the post. We saw what looked like kind of a normal dance party type thing. And we just saw their heads for a split second. He's like, those women are hardly wearing anything.
These women are barely wearing anything. How did this stuff even get on my feed?
Son of Tiberius. Son of Wilbermeyer.
Maybe I could use your help here.
Sure, yeah.
With my bath homework.
What you got there for, buddy?
Hey, babe. You think I could bother
Just doing some adult paperwork at night.
Sure, babe.
General work. Dog, I would actually kill someone in real life for a place this nice. Not a person. It's some... No. These are jokes. Oh, we saw these people in the snippets we saw of the convention.
If this app could lead me to damage my relationship with Jehovah...
It's Jehoho.
If this app could lead me to damage my relationship with Jehovah...
What are we supposed to... Okay, so there was... lewdly dressed women, because of course a glimpse of stocking is considered shocking in this religion. And furthermore, I saw people imbibing in alcoholic beverages in quantities that would surely inebriate a man, woman, or child. Thus this social media app is not good for a servant of God.
What helped our brother to resist temptation? He thought of Jesus'
What helped our brother? That was just a fictional person in a fictional scenario, okay? It's not their brother. But actually, you know what? It is, because it's all Jehovah's Witnesses acting in the parts, obviously. I've talked about this before, but a big problem that I have from a theological point of view that caused me to have some doubts was it did bother me that Jesus never faced sexual temptation when he was on earth, because of course that was my greatest temptation, I guess, but not really. It's just like, because you're not allowed to even masturbate when you're a Jehovah's Witness, so it's not like I'm some sex maniac, really. It's just like any normal sexual desires feel like overwhelming, and so it creates a self-perpetuating problem. Yeah, this just creates a self-fulfilling prophecy where you're not supposed to think about elephants, so you think about elephants, and so you feel constantly ashamed. And where do you go for refuge from your shame? You go to the group. And so they're the people that are going to make you feel good, but also make you feel bad. They're going to give you a problem and the cure to that fake problem that they invented. It's just kind of weird that it's so... like, they can't come right out and say this sexual stuff, even though if you have read Crisis of Conscience, you know that that's actually a huge problem, is there are all these questions that the group has about, like, hey, are we allowed to do this sexual thing even though we're married? So yeah, it bothered me when I was a Jehovah's Witness that Jesus was never tempted sexually, because I felt like in the JW conception of Jesus is balancing out the scales of Adam, Adam was tempted by his wife, and Jesus was just tempted by Satan coming up like Gollum and challenging him. Oh no.
Everyone who keeps on looking has committed adultery in his heart.
Yeah, that's a really fucked up thing to tell somebody, because it isn't the same. Thinking about doing a thing and doing a thing are not the same. And the way that our minds work, as soon as they say that, it is now in your brain, isn't it? When they make a movie where they show Satan tempting Jesus, and then they parallel that to a critic of the organization trying to get you to read a critical article, that's just really putting that stuff in your brain, and then you start repeating it. If you feel constantly inadequate, if you have really low self-worth, then you don't feel like you deserve anything better. Like, you feel like you deserve to feel shitty. It's why they're constantly saying, like, life is more than any of us deserve.
And life is more than any of us deserves. The fact that you and I
have drawn one breath is pure, undeserved kindness on Jehovah's part.
And we don't deserve to seek great things for ourselves. It is not up to mankind to direct his step. It makes you feel shitty, and it tells you that the only hope is this magical time in the future where nobody will feel shitty anymore, except all the people who made you feel shitty for being a Jehovah's Witness. They'll be destroyed in this epic, bloodlusty way.
Come in.
Hey, Sheila.
Hey.
How are you feeling?
Not good. It's been a rough week.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Well, if it's any consolation, you look gorgeous.
Oh, girl, I don't know about that.
You do.
I cannot imagine anything in my entire life more depressing than living with cancer and the side effects of chemotherapy. And what you're doing to keep your mind away from that is studying Watchtower magazines in the Bible and studying all the different ways that you're supposed to feel shame. Absolutely depressing. Like, this is depressing on a pretty profound level.
Let's take a selfie.
Let's not think about it. Let's make fun of it.
Gorgeous, Sheila. Yes. Come on, get it.
It's not easy because it's about cancer. I'll be totally honest with you.
Make sure we look good.
Wow. This would appear to be Watchtower warning about the power of the selfie. They definitely don't like selfies. They've made entire music videos about how you should put your phone away and not take constant videos and pictures of yourself.
You belong, put down the phone and look at me.
And this is kind of a new version of that.
This would actually be a perfect post for this group that I follow. You should join.
Oh,
This is
no.
for witnesses, and we share stories about our personal
George is getting upset.
and
Me, I'm George.
spiritual
Okay,
thought.
well, this is going to be really annoying, and so in order to fully equip ourselves for every good work, we're going to have to say hello to Peachy the dog. Hi, Peachy. It's a peach break. Peachy the dog. The greatest dog in the world. It's a peach break. We're following this story of a sick Jehovah's Witness who has cancer, and her friend, is this her like actual sister or is this just a friend, is saying like, hey, first of all, let's take a selfie because you look beautiful. Very dangerous starting to think that you look beautiful. That's not really a thing you're really allowed to think as a Jehovah's Witness. And second of all, you should join this support group I'm in. That is very dangerous. You are assigned one support group, thank you very much. It's the Worldwide Order of Jehovah's Witnesses. Not the right name, but that's what they're saying here. You're not allowed to be in any kind of group, even if it's just a support group for people undergoing chronic illness.
It is very inspiring.
That's what it seems like to me.
If people could hear your truth, you would be an encouragement
Oh,
to
they
so
hate
many
this. They hate your
I don't think
truth.
anybody wants to hear from me.
Good. That's the right attitude. That is how you should think as a Jehovah's Witness. Nobody wants to hear from me. I will just quietly rot in my bed reading magazines written at a second grade reading level
Shayla, you really need
about
to
why
think
our
more
group is
of
going to kill
yourself.
all the bad guys in Armageddon.
When was the last time you really felt heard? Cancer has taken so...
all these just kind of, I don't know, hippy-dippy liberal aphorisms that kind of don't mean anything, but affirm in some way that you're a person and your name is Anakin? No, that you're just like, hey, you're a person, you have value, you have a story to tell. Other people will gather, could be upbuilt, as Jehovah's Witnesses would say. But nope, they don't like that. The only truth is the truth. That's exactly right. And I think I said it when we were talking about this last week, but I find I'm going to speak my truth. I guess as a phrase, I find that cringy. But that's just because it's an overused phrase. But I think the point of it is just, I'm going to tell my story. I'm going to tell my story. But you do not have a story as a Jehovah's Witness. Maybe you have an origin story of like the before picture and a before and after picture. You had your shitty life as a worldly person and now the best life ever as a Jehovah's Witness. And like, you're allowed that kind of story. But all glory goes to God, and you are all one unified body as Jehovah's Witnesses. So you're really not allowed to have a unique perspective. Any idea of your own originality, they would say, that's you being full of yourself.
I think your story can go witness viral.
Whoa! Witness viral? That must be a popular enough phrase within Jehovah's Witnesses that people are going to understand this. I hope. Or maybe this is Watchtower kind of pulling a, how do you do, fellow kids, and they have no idea how people talk.
Hey girl, here's the selfie of us and a link to that social media page. I think your story can go witness viral.
Witness
hey everyone,
viral.
I just wanted to share my daily scriptural tip with you guys. Thank you so much for following.
Whoa. So they're really... I wish I would have seen this coming. I think they're so stupid for doing this. And, I do like to give credit where it's due when I think that they're being crafty. But no, I think that they've just shot themselves in the foot with this. Like I was saying, you're not really allowed to have your own individual truth. The reason why, I was trying to process this in my head, like, why would they be against somebody telling their cancer story on the internet? Like, fuck that. What are you talking about? But the reason why is because at some point you have to acknowledge that it does take a lot of personal strength to get through that. Like, it does take community, but it also takes a lot of personal strength. And it takes a lot of, like, I would imagine getting over a lot of anger. Like, I don't have cancer, but I would imagine, like, just the emotions are really complicated. And dealing with those complicated emotions is exactly what Watchtower does not want, because they want it to be very simple. There's negative thinking and there's positive thinking. There's being selfish and there's being a servant of Jehovah. There's no room for nuance. But I've never had cancer, but I had surgery a couple years ago. I had to have my whole colon removed due to Crohn's disease, and now I have an ostomy bag. And it makes me uncomfortable to talk about, to be honest, because it's the thing I'm most self-conscious about my own body. But I do like to bring it up sometimes because I noticed when I was going through this, like, very quickly, wow, I never see my body type, somebody with an ostomy bag, portrayed in media at all, ever. Maybe it's referenced as a negative joke, like a gross out joke, but I just never ever see it. Nobody ever talks about it. And I was suddenly very aware of that. And the only thing that got me through that was having little online communities of people who had gone through that. And I'll tell you what, to give a shout out to a real one, Mark Martin, I believe his name is. I hope I'm remembering his name. But he is a Christian ex-Jehovah's Witness. He has a Christian channel. And, I'm an atheist, and I sometimes say not nice things about like Christian ex-JWs, but Mark Martin, he kind of personally made it a point to reach out and talk to me because he had gone through similar health issues, and he's talked about it on his own channel, so I feel comfortable telling you that. That shit was really, really important to me. He would not approve of me using the S word just now. I should try and be on my best behavior, but I don't know if I ever told him how much I appreciated that. But this cynical, fucking awful video that Jehovah's Witnesses made is reminding me how important it was to have people who weren't Jehovah's Witnesses in my corner. One thing I have talked about is, because this all happened as I was being disfellowshipped, right? So at the exact moment I was having a surgery, I was shunned and all that. Well, just a member of my community whose real name I never learned, I just knew her as Apostate Sarah, started a GoFundMe to help with our medical bills. And it's the only reason why we're not, totally screwed financially to this day. And that was just a random stranger being kind, and a lot of people in this chat and people I'll never meet just donating to help a stranger in a time of need. It's kind of fucked up that we live in a world where we, at the very least for me, live in a country where we can't just rely on, free medical care. And we have to rely on things like crowdfunding to just have the necessary medical care that we need. But that is the case a lot of times. And so I just wanted to say that because it's a beautiful thing, actually, this sort of thing, people talking about their experience.
That may be watching, I just really wanted to share with you all my truth about this whole experience.
Updating friends and family is one thing, but this feels wrong.
Because this would mean, I suppose, expanding your friends and family outside of Jehovah's Witnesses. I mean, that's really what it's about, is you're no longer yourself exclusive to the group. You are supposed to be in an exclusive relationship with Jehovah's Witnesses, okay? And you heard in these little videos she was watching that people were talking about their prayers. Well, Jehovah's Witnesses know that non-witness prayers are total bullshit. So what kind of crazy ideas are you going to start having in your head as Jehovah's Witness if you hear a Catholic or a Protestant or a Muslim or a Jewish person's talking about their prayers and how they help them? That would cause you all sorts of cognitive dissonance. You'd have to accept that maybe Jehovah's Witnesses don't have exclusive truth. And if you start thinking that, then you're not going to be giving any more money or free labor to Jehovah's Witnesses. And you might, worst of all, give us bad press. And that's the last thing we want. Absolutely insane. Oh, yeah, and I mentioned why I think it's shooting them in the foot. And it's because if you have members who are so excited about being Jehovah's Witnesses, and they're so comfortable and confident with it that they will post on social media about it, that is such a win. Like, that's an unbelievable win, because back when I was growing up, you wouldn't have done that, because it would have been seen as totally cringe. You would have kept that off of social media because it would have been embarrassing. But witnesses do have social media accounts, and what most witnesses do is they just have locked accounts. And if somebody kind of has #JW.org in their bio or whatever, they'll friend them. And they're funny. Like, they'll make videos that are just like unique TikToks for Jehovah's Witnesses. Instagram, there are JW famous people, like that's what they're referencing earlier in the video. But that actually is good because it serves to normalize the religion. It makes your members feel like they're not so alien. They're allowed to do normal things like have a TikTok or an Instagram. And Watchtower is really coming down here and saying, no, you are not. Do not post about this stuff on social media, even if it's something, perhaps especially if it's something deeply personal, because they don't want your story to inspire other people. The only thing that is allowed to inspire other people is the religion. So you just aren't allowed to take any kind of credit for your own successes in life, or just even accept that you personally have enough value that what you've gone through could bolster somebody else. That's too much self-validation for somebody in a cult. Yeah.
If you are a son of God, throw yourself down.
That's wild.
Satan tried to get Jesus to draw undue attention to himself.
That is not what it was about. To draw undue attention to himself, you have to really be abstracting the lesson of, like, Jesus being tempted in the wilderness. It wasn't about that, was it? It was about, like, use your godly powers for selfish reasons to fulfill a fleshly desire, like power, hunger, but not like this might be an episode of That's Not What's Happening.
That is not what is happening. That is not what is happening.
Satan wasn't tempting Jesus to draw more attention to himself, Jesus wanted to get the attention of everybody he possibly could so he could preach the good news far and wide. So it actually would have been a little bit better if he did draw more attention to himself, including that one time where he basically did a weird publicity stunt by riding a donkey into town and drawing a bunch of attention to himself and giving massive speeches in front of hundreds of people. Because although Jesus himself was a charismatic preacher, the thing that he was ultimately glorifying was God. You know, like you think you're doing every time you get on the broadcast, you crusty old motherfuckers. Like, that's how they justify it in their own brain, is ultimately, well, we're doing it for Jehovah. That's the same thing that you're the plastics for Mean Girls, but pioneers in the congregation who have Instagram reels. Like, okay, just let them do that because it's good for everybody all around. But this just goes to show you, these people are not, like, by these people, I mean the governing body, they're not playing 4D chess, okay? Like, they're playing Connect 4, but they all think that they were appointed by Jesus Christ to play the greatest game of Connect 4 of all time. This analogy is getting away from me. But I'm saying that, like, not everything they do makes sense strategically because they make impulsive, crazy decisions that make them look bad all the time. A lot of cult documentaries get into that, where the cult leader keeps drawing negative attention to himself because he doesn't understand, or she doesn't understand, how they come across to others. I think Jehovah's Witnesses probably wouldn't make a lot of these videos if they understood how they did come across to others. To us,
You
we
must
might
not
say.
put Jehovah your God to the test.
Your God. Oi, Satan. Satan,
No matter
bruv.
what I'm going through, I need to focus on what Jehovah promises and not bring unnecessary attention to myself.
Oh, it's so fucking disgusting.
How can we imitate Jesus' response to this second temptation? Well,
Yes. Remember when Jesus was tempted by being an influencer? So he did just become an influencer and was so influential that he started a religion that ended up being named after him.
can imitate Jesus by rejecting Satan's attempts to have us test Jehovah through disobedience.
Test Jehovah through disobedience. Ew! God is just this irritable, toe-tapping jail warden who's just 3 strikes you're out, mister, and he'll beat the shit out of you. You're testing his patience.
Exalt Jehovah God rather than draw attention to ourselves.
Hey, I'm going to draw attention to myself real quick. Esther M., thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Thank you for exposing the harmful antics the governing body uses to keep control of their gullible members. It's true. I think gullible is the right word, too, because that is what it... like, we're all gullible about something. Nobody can actually be an expert on everything, which means we all have blind spots. And that's why the greatest risk that you have for joining a cult is, like, whatever your blind spot is. Thinking that you can't be tricked is actually a great way to be tricked, because you think that you're above it. Like, well, if this was a cult, I would know, because I'm not the kind of person who would fall for something like that. So I know exactly what I'm doing. And that's why I think, like, sometimes I feel pretty confident that I would not join Jehovah's Witnesses of my own volition. Like, if I was raised in a totally secular family or Catholic or something, I don't think that I would join Jehovah's Witnesses on purpose. But sometimes I'll watch a documentary for a cult and I'm like, oh, I would join that one. A lot of people, it is the cult in Midsommar. I've heard people say that the reason why they find it scary is because they can see themselves joining that group. I definitely did not have that with the cult in Midsommar, but the twin flames thing I got, not me now as a satisfied married adult, but like the 19-year-old me who is a total romantic and desperate, and you know, I still do believe in that soulmate thing, in whatever not spiritual sense, but just, you know, I believe in those kind of powerful connections and stuff. And so I could totally see myself joining the twin flames cult, you know, if I was a younger, more vulnerable person. And so I think, like, that's the thing with cults is it's easy to watch stuff like this and you're like, oh my god, I would never fall for this. But, you know, maybe if you're a yoga person, you might fall for that version of it. Now, why the fuck were we talking about that? I don't know. Oh, because it's the word gullible. Yeah, and I think that's people convince themselves that they're not gullible, and that's why they're drawn to people like Jordan Peterson, because Jordan Peterson just presents himself as this like philosopher who just is generally knowledgeable about everything in the universe.
Rat goes like this. So the rat's like this. The normal rat is like this. That's the normal rat.
We recognize that it is wrong to deliberately put ourselves in harm's way, whether physical or spiritual, and then expect Jehovah to save us.
Oh God, that's so gross and manipulative. That's literally the like, but what was she wearing? It's like, oh, okay, this terrible thing happened to you, but what was your relationship with Jehovah like? Because if it was bad, then maybe you deserved the bad thing that happened. I mean, that's what a lot of us face when we leave this group, is the group teaches that terrible things are going to happen when you leave. And of course, there are terrible things that happen as a result of leaving a high control, high demand religion, like shunning and being cut off from your social structure. So then, of course, bad things do happen. Maybe financial difficulties because you worked for a Jehovah's Witness, or you were reliant on the congregation for certain things. You live with your parents, but now they kicked you out. And so then bad things happen and they say, see, we told you bad things were going to happen. And so that can really mess with your head when you've left a group like this and bad things start to happen. But what you got to remember is that bad things happen to them too. And when bad things happen to them, they're like, see, that's Satan. He's trying to get to me because I'm doing such a good job serving God or serving the leader or whatever.
Again, Satan takes a truth and twists it into a lie. The truth is that Jehovah has promised all of us an abundance of material things in the new system. But for us to receive those blessings, we need to do Jehovah's will, we need to endure the hardships of the last days, and yes, we need to wait. We have to wait.
Okay, so definitely remember this little principle when it comes to understanding Christian nationalists, because that is a big part of how they are spinning the already bad economy and the kind of like inevitable collapse of certain things this summer when like because of the supply chains being fucked up. Like the way that they spin this, the Christian nationalists, is that like it's this: you are going to get treasures in heaven, you are going to get these material rewards, but first you have to suffer bravely for the cause. And if you do that, if you have this spirit of self-sacrifice, then you will be richly rewarded. And so that's how they spin like the lean times when you're in a cult, is like, this is a test. We have to endure the lean times, but we'll be rewarded with a bounteous harvest. And they say it just like that. So they can never be wrong.
I'm thinking about applying to Bethel.
Okay, Bethel. All right, really?
Speaking of cringe.
I've been wanting to do it since I was a kid.
Okay.
Bethel's nice, but you got to think about your future.
Yeah.
How will you support yourself, or how would you support a wife after Bethel?
You can still serve Jehovah right here.
That's true.
I know. I get it. When I was
very foolish to think that you should invest in an earthly job in Satan's doomed system of things. I mean, that's what they're saying. If you go to... I whistled there. That's never happened before, but that's the first time for everything. Yeah, if you go to college, that's very selfish, because that's precious time on this earth that you could have been spending preaching and furthering Jehovah's purpose. It's being selfish to in any way invest in your own future, pursue your own dreams, because what are these dreams? Save that for paradise. That part comes later.
They told me the end could come tomorrow too.
Yeah.
But look at us. We have a real comfortable life.
And we're still witnesses, Aiden. You're so young and smart. They're so...
Wow. The implied message of the video being, no, they're not. They're not doing everything, so they're not good enough. So let that be a lesson to any Jehovah's Witnesses out there, or anybody who wants to join Jehovah's Witnesses. It's not that you have to just be signed up. It's that you have to be active all the time. You're only as good as your best, as is your last day, really. Like, you're only as good as your last good spiritual deed as a Jehovah's Witness.
It's nice that you have spiritual goals, truly. But you also need to be realistic. He's being realistic.
Oh yeah, so like it's not enough just to sign up and be a Jehovah's Witness. You have to be a stellar Jehovah's Witness. If you give in to temptation, then you might as well be an apostate in the world. The only real benefit is that you're closer to the on-ramp than a lot of these worldly people who are going to have to start sprinting if they want to get on the ark before the flood comes.
And there's a lot of ways you can serve Jehovah at Bethel.
Like what? Washing windows?
But if it means putting Jehovah first, is there anything wrong with that?
Of course, nothing's wrong with that. It's just that he could have so much more.
Anyway, lunch was amazing.
Wanting
Thank you so
more
much, Shayla. I
is
can't believe you
satanic.
did all of this for us.
How dare you want more than just enough?
Love for Jehovah moves us to put kingdom interests ahead of...
The Gap guy.
Hey, you okay?
Yeah.
Oh, the Fab guy.
Hey, don't let Chris and Nikki get in your head. Their focus seems to be off.
Their focus seems to be off. Don't let them get in your head. That's satanic reasoning. The idea that you would choose to get an education rather than work at a publishing company and sleep in a dorm, that's Satan talking.
Did you want to talk about it?
No. I think I'm good. Thanks, Dad.
Okay.
That's why it's like, when your dad is an elder, anytime he knocks on your door, it's like, police, open up. Because it's like, they're not just your dad, they're like a spiritual cop. Just generally. Speaking of ones, not me, not my dad in particular, everything's fine. Yeah, I think I saw like Jenny's comment earlier, which is like, and then what if he doesn't get accepted to Bethel? Then what? You have to just go with your backup plan of pioneering and working a part-time job. Yeah, well, how are the parents so wealthy? Because they have this nice-ass house. Oh. Here's what you should do. Sit down and listen to this crusty old white man teach you about some shit Isaiah said 9,000 years ago. My backup plan was MTS, and now 90% of what they taught is obsolete. That's a great point. Like, MTS, if you don't know, is Ministerial Training School, a thing that I don't think technically exists anymore, but they just have a new name for it, like the School for Kingdom Evangelizers. You went to Ministerial Training School, like, in the 90s. Other than the Paradise in 1914, nothing that you believe is the same. All the doctrines have shifted, maybe a couple times over in that time.
Suppose someone that you know or that you are close to, they begin to grasp and cling to the misinformation or the bad teachings of apostates.
Oh.
And then they want to share it with you. What would you do?
This is very strange because my family who are Jehovah's Witnesses, they'll be watching this at their convention thinking, oh my God, this happened to me, right? And like people who in my life know me, I mean, those who haven't forgotten me, no, like it'll come to mind like, oh wow, yeah, I had a friend who was an apostate, so this is realistic. It's very weird to think of stuff like that.
You know, whenever I ask them how things going in their congregation, he won't give me a straight answer.
That goes meowing at me.
And he's
What's
always
attention?
shifting the conversation to something negative about the organization.
You must never speak negatively about your governing body friends.
I don't know.
They're your best friends, after all.
But I sure hope I'm wrong.
If I'm not wrong, so help me God, I'll kill him. Watching disappointing pornography on his computer.
Hey, Justin, I want you to read this article I just sent you. It's gonna change the way you see the organization.
Oh, no. Change it from only positive all the time, necessarily, because my entire self-perception is based on the fact that the organization is the truth.
Better yet, why are you reading that garbage? It's all lies.
Garbage? How do you know if it's garbage if you haven't even read it?
Listen,
Great question.
you need to talk with your
Oh,
elders.
but maybe just listen to something else, though. Let's not address that.
And if you don't speak to them, I will.
This guy just keeps making good points that go unaddressed. And if somebody hits you with an argument that you can't answer, just change the subject to another talking point that you've memorized. Never engage critically.
That's what you feel.
With criticism.
Help.
Never.
I don't need any help, man. I'm finding the answers to my questions, bro. And I'm keeping an open mind.
No, you're not supposed to do that.
Open mind? You're ignoring Jehovah's thinking. The truth saved our
Grab
lives.
some fucking duct tape for that mind, Sonny. We gotta close that mind up.
Look, man, how long have we known each other? I would never steer you wrong. I'm not out to hurt you. I'm trying to help you.
Isn't that exactly, literally, one for one the same as Satan and Jesus?
How long
Totally
have you known me?
comparable.
Tell these stones.
How long have we known each other?
Bread.
I'm trying to share with you the truth.
Me, your lifelong friend, am tempting you.
Do you really think I would steer you wrong?
You know, this is pretty different, I'll just state, for the record, telling someone, hey, you should read this critical report on the organization. It suggests that the group may not have the truth and may be lying to you about something. That's a little different from you've been fasting for 40 days and Satan says, if you bow down and worship to me, the devil, I'll give you the keys to the kingdom. Not super similar, in my opinion, but that doesn't matter. They're putting the images side by side, so they must be the same.
Give you all this authority.
Yes, it's emotional
I definitely
blackmail.
don't need any help from them.
Do an act of worship before me.
Yep, exactly.
Go away, Satan.
Stop. There's only
Stop.
one
Go
truth,
away, Satan, my
and it
old
comes
friend.
from Jehovah. You're gonna walk away like that. What are you so afraid of? Man,
Great
stop
question.
being a coward.
Great point. No, I'm driving away. No. I'm fleeing like Jesus would. I'm running away from Satan, just like all the good guys in the Bible. Like, what? I mean, the cognitive dissonance here is absolutely bananas. How much of being a Jehovah's Witness is standing up for your beliefs and preaching, proudly preaching door to door and publicly, all this stuff, yada, yada, yada. But not here. Not if it's responding to criticisms. We don't even want you to know what the criticisms are. And the second you get the sense that anybody is about to say something negative, run. Just veer out of the parking lot, full speed, drive away, and picture some creepy CGI angels in your head. Yeah, it totally is. It's la la la, I can't hear you.
Jehovah your God you must worship.
Like, nope, you're not saying anything bad about
And it is to him alone
about the governing body. Nope.
you must render sacred service.
You must render sacred service. There's nothing wrong with this organization, but you must render us sacred service, or else.
Jehovah gives us the privilege of honoring him with
Stop
our
yelling at
valuable
me.
things.
Oh, God, it's about money. Jehovah gives us the privilege of honoring him with our valuable things. So it's gonna be about money.
Those who wish to give financial support to the kingdom work can donate using any of the contribution boxes. Those making a
Got it in
contribution
one.
by check should make the check payable to Jehovah's Witnesses. If possible, however, please donate online at
Uncomfortable laughter from the audience. So, hey, courts and judicial systems, when they talk about their donations and stuff, like all these voluntary donations, this is how they're getting them, right? Like, they don't tell members what their money goes to. They don't know that they're going to cover up child sexual abuse. It's just make the check out to Jehovah's Witnesses. We'll send it where it needs to go.
The Court of the Gentiles was the largest section of the Temple Mount. It was
The luckiest and
accessible
most
to
charming
non-Jews
section.
and was also used as a shortcut to get to other parts.
A shortcut, laddie.
There were several
I
other
don't
courts,
believe
each
you.
one with a higher degree of sanctity, as they led
Whoa.
closer and closer to the
Now,
heart.
how can that be okay? Like, because that's what the Tower of Babel was, and God thought it was bad. What does Jesus see in
How would
Echo?
it make you feel to find out that someone knew all about you?
Just on its own, that's so creepy.
In Isaiah chapter 11,
Absolutely true.
it's foretold
Absolutely
that
true.
Jesus would not
My
judge.
sweaty ass would be taking the biggest after lunch nap during Jacob Rumph's talk. This is brutal.
Trust that he will be able to use us and make up for any lack that we have in our abilities.
But when they say trust Jehovah, what they mean is trust the governing body, because of course they are speaking for Jehovah. They're your link to Jehovah. So this guy is giving a talk about how much Jehovah's Witnesses need to trust him. And I mean, you pause it on this face, and it does look like he's hiding a sneaky secret, a sacred secret, Gage Flegel might say. But we just don't know. We don't know how much this guy knows. What does Jesus see in you? Help us out. What's good with you? What do you think your invisible friend sees in you?
That's a very good question.
Great question.
See me.
What does Jesus think of me?
We really stumped him with this one.
I don't really have many qualities, but maybe he'd find some.
Jesus, this is so sad. Hey, literally, Jesus, explain yourself for this. This is depressing. Wait, they just weren't able to answer? They just didn't know? They're like, I don't know. I have no self-worth. I guess Jesus might be able to find some good quality. And that's where we left it. I can't believe this.
When I was in the world, I came to realize that no one really cares about you.
Oh my God.
They just make fun of how you look, the way you are, and especially for me, because I didn't know how to read well since I didn't go to school.
Oh my God. In the world, nobody really cares about you. This is so manipulative. Sometimes we talk about sneaky tricks from liars, and this is one of their crafty, Satan's crafty acts, we might say, is like, they can't, like, you couldn't really show this as evidence in court, right? Because what they would say is, well, that's not us saying that. That's that guy saying that. We didn't say it. He did. We just made him say it for this show. But, you know, they can kind of put their doctrines in the mouth of members and make it seem like everybody is just miraculously coming to the same conclusions, independent of whether or not there's a cult leader. Right. This is manipulation. Your worth is only seen by Jesus.
Decided to leave the organization. My
Oh my
mom
God.
made the decision with me and my siblings to leave the house for our own safety.
For our own safety. As if they become like a serial killer or something. But Christina was pressured, I later learned, long after the fact, she was pressured by some of the family to like separate from me because they're not going to say it's doctrine, but through little videos like this, they reinforce the idea that somebody who leaves the organization is dangerous, like genuinely dangerous to your life, and you need to get away from them. Like, that's how intense the stigma is. And it's why it's bullshit when they try and claim that shunning is some personal conscience matter, that it's up to each individual member. It's just not true.
So here we were sitting kind of in the back row at the meetings. I was in
The row of shame.
of other families, complete families. I would see how the dad would hug the daughter. And
So you were sad when you went to the meetings, and it didn't make you happy at all. But that was still somehow her fault for just not appreciating them correctly.
Didn't let those feelings of worthlessness get the better of me.
They're the ones who reinforce the feelings of worthlessness, because it's Jehovah's Witnesses who say you're dirt, you're pond scum. I like Jenny's analogy. Like that is what it is. Like, you're worthless, and life is more than any of us deserves. And so it's the cult that gives people a feeling of worthlessness. And their only self-worth comes from the group, which is why it's so hard to pull people out of a cult, because like it becomes their self-identity, and to rip that away from them would be ripping away their own understanding, like of who they are. I think that's what's dangerous, is when you can't separate an idea from some like core part of
To
yourself.
my baptism, I said,
Otherwise,
I'm
like,
just going to do
your
what I
entire
can.
being will crumble.
Up
Right.
against
Doesn't
literature
this just acknowledge
and other small
that the group is miserable? That you can have a totally miserable existence as a Jehovah's Witness and somberly clean a kingdom hall by yourself while crying? And you have cancer and you can't really talk to anybody about it other than your congregation. Like, what a sad existence, but it's like you're suffering proudly for the cause.
After my baptism, I said,
Yep,
I'm
well
just going
said,
to do
Isaac.
what I can do. Like hall cleaning, helping with the literature, and other small things, right?
I'm only good enough to do small things like cleaning toilets, and that's about all I'm worth. That's what Jesus sees in me, is that I am valuable enough to clean the shitter in the kingdom hall. They're treating it like it's this great thing, but this person's self-worth is through the floor. That's why this commenter said, I didn't let those feelings of worthlessness get the better of me, which is why I was stumped when trying to think of positive qualities that I have. Yeah, like, you're not allowed to think of yourself as having positive qualities that are in any way separate from the group. Like, the group and yourself have to become inseparable. Yeah, very bad. No good, very bad. Very sad.
I felt
mad.
comfortable with that. But when I thought about reaching out,
doing more free
I
labor.
felt like I could never do it.
I could never do something
never
so
really
amazing as
could
carry
see
a
myself
microphone.
doing anything in the organization. I never really felt like I was at the same level as others in the congregation.
Again, that's because Watchtower made them feel this way. I'm sure that this will be effective because people will be like, oh, I felt that way too. But I also think that it might be frustrating because I do believe that people on some level understand, like Jehovah's Witnesses on some level understand that a lot of their problems are caused by the fact that they are Jehovah's Witnesses and that things would be easier if they weren't. And so you have to kind of tell yourself that this struggle is worth it. The fact that this life is harder is worth it because there's going to be this reward in paradise. And so that's the other thing that you're kind of challenging too when you challenge somebody's cult belief, is it's like all of that emotional energy, perhaps your actual money, your identity, all of that wasn't worth it and you wasted your time. And so like that's why it's so core to somebody's identity, and why the sunk cost fallacy is very real, because you really have sunk perhaps years or decades of your life into something.
Making comparisons on my self-worth.
Yeah, because she's told to do
I
that.
always felt there was something lacking because
Yeah,
I didn't.
they're
come
told
from
to
an
think this
ideal
way.
family. Even to this day, I struggle with that. I felt like I can't do this. This is too much for me.
God. Pushing people to do this emotional labor, like, past their own comfort level. Hearing them acknowledge that it was beyond their comfort level and it was too much for them, but they still pushed themselves over this mental hurdle that they had because the group was able to construct that hurdle and tell the group member that it was their fault, that it was there. Like, well, that's your hurdle. That's just your own imperfection holding you back from doing more with the group. And I think that's where it kind of gets tricky when it comes to consent, like informed consent in a group, and how you kind of know and don't know things at the same time. Like, you're just, like, that's what cognitive dissonance is. I don't know what I'm saying. But yes, the phrase that people bring up a lot is this quote that they use from the Bible, that you are a good-for-nothing slave.
And we can say that we're good-for-nothing slaves and we have done what we ought to have done.
Yeah, the good-for-nothing slave. That's how you're supposed to think of yourself. And it's really gross. And it is sad because you can see the humanity in these people. I never want the joke to be on them because they are victims in this. I tend to view the perpetrators of, like, people preaching the harmful doctrines from the stage as, worthy of ridicule. But I don't know. It's a tough line because, as Ray France says, everyone's a victim of a victim.
What Jesus says here makes me feel that he sees everything I do in the congregation.
Oh, it's so gross. It's so gross. Because it acknowledges that they don't feel happy or seen a lot, even within the group, where you're really supposed to recognize the achievements of your brothers and sisters and build each other up. But the lived reality is often very different from that because people are disappointing. These are genuine JWs, but I and a lot of witnesses have been a part of, like, your local assemblies, which are kind of a smaller version of the convention. Instead of playing a high production video, they would just invite somebody from a local congregation on stage and interview them. And so, yeah, it would really be you, like it really was me on stage a few times, but you hone your script, like you hone it down to the bare essentials and say, oh, say this instead of this, because we want to emphasize this larger point about Jehovah's organization. And so by the end of it, is it a real story? Is it not? Well, it's real in your own minds. And so, yeah, there are real Jehovah's Witnesses giving their real experience, but it's all been,
whether it's a lot or
like,
little,
finally crafted down to this.
About 2 years have passed, and I said, you know, I think I'm ready. I just feel like, let's do it. Let's put the application in.
I want to keep improving.
There's something really demented about the idea that you have to fill out this legalistic application to see if they'll accept you to a higher rank in this imaginary social structure that they've invented. Like, oh, I want to be on the big boy club. Could I be in the big boy club? Oh, you got to fill out the paperwork. Okay. And then you send in your paperwork and like, no, sorry, we're actually full up for the big boy club right now. Just keep on full-time pioneering. Just give me 90 hours a month, please.
But I still feel like I don't deserve to be an elder in the congregation.
Oh my God, it's because you're constantly said
like to hear some
undeserved kindness.
From brothers in your congregation?
Yes.
This is actually getting creepy and I'm getting uncomfortable. Sometimes if you stare into the abyss stares back. And that's what happened a few times here today. But we did it, folks. We got through Friday, morning and afternoon, I believe. And very long stream, but it was necessary. I mean, I got dressed up and everything, and we had wonderful attendance. It was very encouraging to see everything. I mean, frankly, it was good news.
Now, moving on, we see the good news wherever we are.
Yeah, in fact, I might even say that it was based.
That was based.
Anyway, like and subscribe. And if you endured this, you're a real champion. And as far as I'm concerned, I owe you money.
All right, bye.